Hello everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. It is amazing. It is lovely to see you all on this Tuesday morning, September the 26th. Oh, it's my mother's birthday. Well, happy birthday to mom. So I'll be sure to call her. But actually, you know what? Before I even start this stream, let me call her. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I just have to say happy birthday to my mom. She is awesome. She's amazing. What was I? I'm just thinking about my mom so much. I forgot everything else I was supposed to be doing. Um, hmm. Oh yes, in today's animation, I'm working on my angel, Father Jovial. I went over a bit of lore for the Witches 13 world. How essentially, as people, at least religious people, ascend, they take on certain traits. Like in Father Jovial's case, because he's a Christian man, as he ascends and sort of gains new knowledge and insights on his faith, he grows wings. So he has three pairs of wings. That means that he has garnered a significant understanding of his faith and of his holy text. Ironically, he is going to be a bit of a Jesus figure in the story. Many of the characters are going to be coming to him, sort of looking for guidance, looking for a just a lending ear that they can speak to and talk to. And so that is sort of the core of this character, where certain figures will go to confessional and they will essentially confess their sins to him, or at the very least go over like different ailments that they are going through. There will also be certain moments where we get to see the true power of Father Jovial and sort of what he can do. That's also why I'm working on this little short animation, because I really want to show, just give everyone a small hint of his capabilities. Because his magic involves a lot of radiant light. And so, what I want to steer away from is what fairy tale did, in which everyone has like only one type of magic they can use, like only Natsu uses fire magic and he's a fire dragon. So I'm not trying to do that. What I'm more so trying to do and express is that magic is a very loose system in this world. So you have people who use their faith as magic, or who use their own ingenuity or their own understanding of the world in their magic. You have people who like to think through problems, so they say, okay, I want to make a fireball. Well, then let me mix oxygen and carbon, let me ignite it and use the surrounding oxygen in the air as fuel for my fireball. Other people, they just get angry and they manifest fire. So that's one of the exciting things that I sort of came up with. There's sort of a, I guess you could say, spirituality to everything. yeah, I just remembered when I get off of work, I need to go by this. Um, I need to go by this gallery, this art gallery, and dang, I think it was called like group art or something like that. Like probably on Thursday or Friday, I'll go downtown and I'll go by this art gallery because it had some really good art. Me and my mom, we saw the place when we were coming back from church, and she's like, "Yeah, this is the art gallery I always drive by whenever I'm coming home from work." And I'm like, "Ooh, this has some good art." And the thing is that it's close to the warehouse district, so it's not going to be too far of a walk. At least not from where the bus usually dropped me off. It's like probably like 3.5 blocks down from Moore Square, so that's actually pretty good. I just need to remember the name of it. Funny how now of all times when I am streaming, I remember it. I also ooh, and I also get paid today. So what I'm gonna do is buy some canvas and some new paint because for some reason I'm missing my acrylic blue. But I have brushes and everything. I just want to buy some new acrylic paint and paint a portrait for my mom. Like there's this really old picture I have of her. I'll probably do a impressionist portrait. Ooh, that'd be lovely. What else was I doing? Um, I'm gonna draw a nice portrait of my mom. Oh yeah, this angel. Uh, Father Jovial. Speaking of angels, I've also been working on the backstory, like more world building. And so I think I mentioned this in my previous stream, but I essentially decided to. I only got 3 frames left. So I guess I'll take a mini break, get a sip of coffee, and talk a little more about my show, which is 13. Speaking of Witches 13, I am gonna have to downsize it. Or I could probably keep the 13 and just rework that number. So essentially, I had decided to downsize the main cast from a group of 13 men and women to just 7. So it's gonna be like, so it's gonna be 3 people. Yeah, three, 3 and 7. 3 and 7 are two important numbers, but essentially, I based the core top 7 from The Witches 13 into like the 6 things God hates, the 7th he finds deplorable. So I'm taking a lot of inspiration from not just Christianity and the Book of Enoch, but other sort of Christian inspired books and texts like Paradise Lost, Paradise Refound, the Divine Comedy, which includes Paradiso, Purgatorio, and Inferno. And so the number 7 is important because it defines the 7 sort of righteous things to be angry and upset about. And I personify those things into wrongdoings done to 7 key figures. I've also taken inspiration from the 7 deadly sins and the 7 heavenly virtues as well, and sort of how their downfalls and now their sort of vices come from those virtues subverted into sins. I actually have a Google Doc I can pull up real quick. And this is a lot of workshopping because I do have to downsize some things, but it does allow me to merge and mesh different concepts and different character features or different character plot points I had for other entities. So when it comes to Nancy, who is the youngest member of this organization, he's 12 years old. And so you think like, oh, he's 12 years old, but he's seeking revenge. Like, isn't he just a child? Well, this sort of comes from the mindset that, anyone is capable of evil and anyone is capable of seeking revenge, not just adults. And just because someone is seeking revenge, it doesn't mean that they're being manipulated or eased into it by older people. Like Nancy, despite being the youngest, is also there of his own volition. And he actually is a planner in many of these different big events and different plots that the organization has. So his sort of righteous fury is feed that be swift in running to mission. And that means people who just have evil and malice in their heart and they're quick to enact it. And so his sort of big villain is a higher up, sort of a department head who essentially caused his parents to have a mental breakdown. Like, they were constantly being scheduled, they were constantly called into office. And so because they were tired and just drained from constantly doing work, there was a mishap with some invention of theirs, leading his parents to essentially become mentally broken and just destroyed. And so Nancy, he was a good kid. Like, he did what he had to do, went to school, did everything his parents asked of him, helped around the house, everything. And so now that his parents have been scarred and hurt in a way, he now has to take on a provider role at the age of 12. He becomes like this illusionist parlor trickster who has different magical shows around the city and who just has to struggle with making money, taking care of his parents, and trying to attend school, trying to keep his grades up. So he's just constantly stressed all the time. And so his virtue and sin is kindness and envy. So he was very kind, he was very diligent, did what he needed to do, but he hates the present state that he's in right now. He can't stand his newfound responsibility, and he is envious of others who seem to have the perfect life going on right now. That's sort of his core aspect. And so I guess the reason why Father Jovial is so important is because he acts as a sort of religious core or center, I suppose you could say. He is the one sort of truly virtuous person here, and he is perfect by no means. Like, he still has his faults, his moments, but he is definitely sort of that one person that most, if not everyone, can go to. There are even going to be certain times where the villains will also go to Father Jovial's church and confess their sins. And if they don't even confess, they'll at least talk to Father Jovial about what they're going through. Like, I do have this one powerful scene where sort of the main villain, like towards the end of the show, is going to step into Father Jovial's church, and he's essentially going to lay it all to bed. And so, like, that's definitely going to be a very powerful and even interesting scene where we see our main villain finally feel as though there is nothing he can do to stop anything. But there will be grace in that. Like, there will still be sort of a chance or moment where he can make a change and where he can be different. And this will be sort of his Satan moment, essentially, where his pride and his desire to be more or greater than will lead to his downfall. Where, despite having the chance and opportunity to ask for forgiveness, he still will not take it. And I guess the reason why I can so. Ooh, Lord have mercy. That was an Amber Alert. Anyway. And I guess the reason why I can and I feel so liberated to share all this is because, you know, these are stories that we've all seen before. These are stories that we've all heard before of, like, evil choosing to lay in the bed it's made for itself. So, I mean, I guess I'm not really worried. Like, you guys already know how the story's going to end because you've always known how this story ends. Oh, hello. How are you? I see that I have one concurrent viewer. How are you? How's your day going? What you been up to? Welcome to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And in today's stream, I'm just chilling out, working on this angel animation. This is sort of like my second pass, and then I'll probably go back in at a later date and really do some more tie downs and either adding of detail or like refining some things. But for now, just enjoy what I've been working on. Ooh, another person just joined. Hello, hello. Welcome to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. Earlier, I was talking a bit about the story. What was I going over? Oh, yes, how I decided to reshape the story layout. And I had downsized the main characters from 13 to 7 so that I can really be more concise and sort of control and organize my thoughts on just who these core 7 people are. But I do, in fact, plan on adding 4 more characters. Originally, it was going to be like 2 sort of police figure archetypes, but now I'm thinking instead of like 2, it's going to be 4. And so, what I want for them is to more so act as archangels, I guess you could say. Like, their whole thing is that they will always be, they're the deuterotagonists, so they're like the tertiary or like quaternary characters where they're like right at the heels. Like every time something happens, like a company gets taken down or like there's this huge expose, they're always coming in at like the last second, like right before our main characters leave. I mean, like right after our main characters leave. And so they're gonna be based on like the 4 archangels, so Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Michael. My mom's calling again. I'll be right back. Hello? Hey, mom. Streaming right now. I'm about to get off in the next maybe 20 minutes. my mom had called again. She's asking me what I was gonna eat for dinner. And I said, ooh, I got leftovers there. But then, because it's her birthday, I said, ooh, why don't you just bring me something? And I'm fine because, like I said, I get paid today. And all I really need to pay now is just my cell phone bill. And then I need to pay towards my student loans. Oh, yeah, so there's going to be four sort of policeman type characters. And they're going to be based off of the four archangels. So Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. And Gabriel, I believe, is the archangel of death who presides over death. Like, he was the great spirit that sort of washed over Egypt. So I do want to, in fact, relate these different policeman characters and how they use magic to sort of the different powers or dominions of these archangels that God has. So I think what would be really exciting is if the way they use magic was somehow tied to, I don't know, just their outlook on life, maybe. Because there is, like, I guess the Gabriel inspired police officer, he can have sort of like a spiritualist sort of mindset on magic where he is very soulful. Like, he perceives magic as calling on ancestors or maybe calling on sort of like a higher power in a sense, somewhat adjacent to different religious styles of magic usage. Or I'll figure out something unique. It's just a matter of time. Everything happens at its own time, which is something that is, while daunting, something you just have to deal with and sort of get used to, you know? But it is quite exciting. I'm just stretching it real quick. So, another thing that I want to do is now that I've thought of Witches 13 as a concept, I definitely want to sort of push back, go back, and sort of see okay, so what 12, or rather, what 13 individuals can I have to where I can still almost sort of fuel that um, 13 niche? Because the original sort of concept was that there would be 12 men and women. So, like, Young, the main character, he would sort of act as a almost Jesus figure or Jesus inspired figure where he's like very powerful. He's the father of magic in this world, so on and so forth. And so the 12 men and women that flock to him are almost like his 12 disciples. And so they have different aspects or different sort of core themes that the 12 disciples in the Bible had, like Peter, Jacob, David, all of them. Um, but now that I'm sort of downsizing the group from 12 to 7, I now want to see okay, well, what other sort of side characters can I have that can fill that sort of 12 niche? If Young, the main character, is meant to be Jesus, and so the other six, while Young himself is also like one of the seven heavenly virtues, as well as one of the one as well as has righteous fury from like the seven things God hates, then now who are the remaining uh who are the remaining six? So I definitely think that four of them can be also these four archangel characters that I had on the back burner. So like the four policemen being inspired by the four archangels, that can definitely be another concept. And I also think I might incorporate some of like the four horsemen of the apocalypse as well. So that now is 11. And so I really just need two more individuals. Now, I can't choose Father Jovial because he is meant to be like almost like the Holy Spirit. He's sort of meant to be this emotional and spiritual center for everybody. So, I mean, if I'm having, but like, here's the thing if I'm having the sort of main protagonist, then the deuterotagonists, who are these four policemen, and then I have the antagonist, who is this sort of enemy. What best way can I sort of project this sense of 13, this sense of 12, if I also have like some more supporting characters? Like, six plus, wait a second, 7 plus 4 is 11. And I just need two more. So they can be like these two side characters or these two supporting characters who don't even have stake in the game, who are two sort of truly innocent people. One of them, I believe, can definitely be like a parallel to Ao himself. like essentially maybe another very successful scientist who could have been like Ao's potential future, or it could be like seen as Ao as a child, like someone who is very young, very aspiring, who is this young hopeful, who is everything that Ao was in the past, as well as who Ao wanted to be in the future. So those are two really good sort of parallels I could have. And then I can always just go back and sort of redraw or redo over it. So that's not too bad. So here's what we have so far. This is a science fantasy. Tongue tied. This is a science fantasy show set in the year, I want to say about 2050, 2100, following the events known as the Cascade, which was a near apocalyptic event that brought magic back to the world as well as awakened sort of this fantasy race gene. So now there are beastmen, elves, orcs, dragons, other sort of entities and creatures as well. This story follows a young man named Ayoung. He is a scientist who essentially discovered magic during the lockdown generation, which was essentially this sort of era and time in which much of humanity was locked down due to the Cascade, trying to protect themselves from the meteor fall as well as the supposed radiation. He discovered magic, he grew to acclaim and fame, and essentially one of his colleagues was jealous and envious of him and attempted to take his life. The colleague failed, and instead of killing him, essentially Owoh was taken to this other dimension where his body was constantly being torn apart and reconstructed. After some time, so it felt like about 200 years, but in the real world, only about like 10, maybe 20 years had passed. Owoh was finally able to break out of his prison, and seeing how much has changed as well as his fame and success being stolen from him, he now seeks revenge for what was done to him. And he has gathered 6 other men and women who are also seeking revenge, essentially making them an organization of 7 people who desire revenge and justice for the wrongdoing that was done to them. So they are plotting different ways to take down their assailants, from smear campaigns to exposing shady business tactics and dealings, and sort of other things like that. This story also follows a police force of about 4 investigators who are masters in magic in their own right, but they keep being one step behind our protagonists, as well as the antagonists who are trying to maintain the empire that they built for themselves. I think that's about it. I've already come up with the pilot. The pilot follows the 6th member, and it sort of is a good starting off point to see just where the story begins as well as who the story will be initially following. Um, he is. I had a name for him. What was his name? Because I named him after like a Norse god. I just forgot. It's a good thing I keep my sketchbook next to me so then I can easily call upon my notes. Oh yeah, there's also airships in this story as well. Cause I just like airships. I just need to work on my. Yes, his name is Karen. Curn. And so Saren was sort of a. So his whole story and his whole backstory is that he is actually a he's ex-military. He was a very chaste and diligent man. He did what he had to do. He wanted to have the perfect future, the perfect sort of resources set up for his fiance, and he essentially wanted to start a family with her. But he there was still some more work he needed to do. He took on a special experiment using magic to essentially make him a super soldier, able to have enhanced healing, enhanced magical capabilities, enhanced endurance, all of that. But one of the downsides is that the ritual left him barren, so he is no longer able to have any children. So that essentially caused a mental breakdown in him because he had did everything to have kids in the future, and so that one goal, that one desire he had was taken from him. And so he seeks revenge out of a sense of justice for what was done to him. This has also led him to be very sexually proactive because he now feels as though there is really nothing for him to live towards. Oh, hello. Shama Meow, how are you? Welcome to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. I was actually about to end the stream. Um, but I could talk about these characters and sort of their plights forever. But I think I'll save that for my Friday stream because Friday is definitely when I have more time to sort of stream, do the things that I want to do, that I choose to do. Not that I don't have time to, like, I go to work an hour later today, but I still want to keep things on track. I'm not trying to switch things up too much. Yeah, I definitely want to retime this. I may want to slow it down a bit. But sadly, it is 11:18, so it's going to be like 11:20 by the time I do my outro. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. It was a nice stream. It was a nice time to just chill out and sort of think through things with you all. There's definitely some more smoothing and some more in betweens I need to work on. But until then, I'll call this session here. Um, Thank you for stopping by. Thank you, everyone, for just checking a second to see what I do here. It was a nice talk. I really enjoyed going over my story, my world with you all, and going over some, retouches with my future show that I'm working on. It was fun. It was nice. Um, I stream every Tuesday and Friday, usually around noon or at the very least 10 o'clock. and I'll go for about an hour, maybe an hour and 30 minutes on Tuesdays, but Fridays are definitely my longer streams. I like to talk for longer, work for longer, just because I have my off days then. Every day, around noon, 10 to noon Eastern Standard Time, every Tuesday and Friday. Um, Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share even. I also have a Patreon and a Buy Me a Coffee in the description below, as well as a Fiverr account if you guys need any services from me. I do 2D animation, character concepts, OCs, concept art in general, video editing, audio editing, anything in the media and entertainment sphere I can do, or at the very least have aptitudes in. So don't fret. Um, anyway, yeah. This has been Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. I'll see you guys in my next video or live stream. Bye.